Now, the issue of religion is something that has sparked different conversations, with blacks believing that they are the ones who created and started religion. Every story in the Bible happened or is believed to have originated from Africa. Now, in this today's video, John Clarke is trying to expose how Europe has personified these happenings on religion that were really centered in Africa and were not as being perceived as a white affair. This begs a question of why Jesus has to appear white, yet different research have shown that Jesus was truly a black African. Now let us watch this video and make a comment in the end.
All people tell stories to make themselves feel good, and there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you are clear about what you are doing. The Hebrews copied African stories to make themselves feel good and said that was us. Then we come down and believe it. When the story of Joseph and Mary, and I've personally seen it, in the great lodge of Luxor, was carved in stone. And the story existed 2,000 years before Abraham arrived. The story of Cain and Abel is an old African story, was an old African story before they got there. And there's a whole book of flood stories. Everybody, every culture has its flood story. Now, the Bible is not less a Bible and not less holy, because it is part fiction, part history, and part folklore. It is still a book of inspiration. It is still a book of spirituality. And you can separate one thing from the other and keep it. I didn't say throw it out. I say understand it. I think you can get more out of it by understanding it. And what I'm saying is that the Hebrews copied African folklore and integrated African folklore into the book, but they personified it, saying this happened to us, when in fact it didn't happen to them at all. They merely said it happened to them. All right, now, when they had to face the Pharaoh, who knew not Joseph, and when he said, those of you who wish to obey African law may stay. Those of you who do not wish to obey African law will have to go. Those are the ones who left Africa. Now that's the origin of the essence. All the Jews did not leave Africa because some of them said that they could stay and live under African law. Jews remained in Africa. Some of them were there when the Romans arrived thousands of years later. Now, the Exodus is one of the best known stories in human history. And there is not one iota of proof that it occurred. The Bible is not less holy because of it, but this is a part of Hebrew myth. And it is a good story to teach faith. Whether it is true or not, it is a good teaching lesson. Why can't we draw the lesson from it and stop worrying about whether it's true? Now, if you know the geography of Africa, you know that was a 16-mile land bridge connecting Africa with Western Asia. When the Jews came in, they walked in. They could have walked out. So they didn't have to leave by water. and they would end up in Yemen. You couldn't go with the geography. Look at the geography. Look at where the land, this is before the Suez Canal. Thousands of years before. Look, the Christian story is one of the most beautiful stories in the history of the world, but you have to separate one thing from the other and keep the story. Don't throw out the story because it is mixed with a whole lot of things that are questionable. You can enhance the story by understanding it and understanding to what extent the story is embellished by folklore. All right, now, 70 people came in. 70 Hebrews came in. 600,000 goes out and still leaves some. Would 70 people create that many people, even if they spend all time creating people? So what we have here is that a lot of Africans, not ethnically Hebrew, became converted to the faith. And they were of another religious persuasion, but not of another ethnic persuasion. And then at this time, religion was so sharp in the minds of each people. Sometimes a religious person in one religion didn't feel as safe as he thought he should. Those religious Torahs was much better then than it is now. All right, now what did they take out of Africa? They came into Africa without a clear language, without a clear religion, and without a clear culture. When they left, they had all three. Africa had made the Hebrews a people. The early Hebrews became a people and entered history through Africa. And you do not have to argue about whether they were white, black, or otherwise. The only whites who entered the area were Greeks and Romans. Right. So now you want to figure out where the white Jew came from? That's the problem. The European white Hebrew is nothing but a European belatedly converted to the faith. In the 12th century AD, there was arguments in Europe because the Africans and the Arabs were controlling Spain and the Mediterranean. There was arguments for whose fight you're going to join, the Arabs or the Christians. And there was a group of people who didn't want to join either one of them. They sought an alternative, and they chose Judaism. So the Caucasian Jew is just a European who chose Judaism. And he has no ethnic relationship to the biblical Jew at all.
When I see such great videos, what comes to my mind is the reason why Africa has to be segregated or has to face the dark side of history, and everything that belongs to them be scrapped away from them so that they don't take pride out of it. Now, Clarke is giving different examples of stories that has been borrowed or have been borrowed by the Europeans and have been now possessed as if they really happened in Europe, yet these are originations from Africa. Does it mean that the missionaries, when they came to Africa, they had a reason of making us believe that they are more superior, or the white man is more superior than the black? That is what we always address in this channel, because we want to create a society that is just equal and appreciates every race. We never mean to demean any person or anybody because of the skin color, be it white, be it black. That is why we unravel things that are not of interest of the unity of the human race in the past, like religion. Religion started in Africa. Africa had its religion that was so much sacred, sanctified, and they believed in it truly and never wanted to waver on it. But what happened when the white man came during colonialism? They introduced Christianity, which became a white man affair. This sense of making it appear as if Jesus and the whole thing about the Bible story, white affair, is so much demeaning and is a topic of discussion that has ensued in different facets of life, because we have to make people understand what really transpired, or what really religion is. What is Christianity? Does Jesus, or was he a black or white? This is where it starts from. When we agree on this, it will be so much easier to accept or to embrace these kinds of religion. These are the practices we have to do to create a common race across the globe. There's no point Africans would feel that religion started with them and most of the stories are originating from them, yet they're not taking pride in them, and they've been left aside, and the story is not even being narrated on them. Take for example what Europeans did by taking very, very important artifacts of Africa to Europe that are still lying there, and they are generating resources from that. Is it going to be this way till the end, or are we going to create a way of finding what rightfully belongs to the blacks, or are they going to be compensated? Will it end this way, or will one day the West realize that this is what we did to the blacks, we have to compensate them, or we have to stop it and we have to say sorry? That is all black men have always been asking. And from this video we've just watched, it calls for an open discussion on matters religion, to understand how religion works, or how religion should unite the human race, how religion should be understood without segregating or without creating discrimination amongst races. That is all we have to discuss today in this video. If you are watching us for the first time, I urge you to make a subscription, because that is how we'll create a long-term engagement. Also, do not forget to hit our comment section so that you share your thoughts on this video. Like and share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Let's meet when we bring another video.